Fresh Expressions has actually achieved more than even I had imagined that it could have in 10 years, which actually in the Church of England terms is a short space of time. But over some recent research, over 10 dioceses that have been surveyed, we've added one medium-sized diocese to the Church of England. If we multiply that up, there is a good possibility that we've added 3 size dioceses to the Church of England, and that is in 10 years.
We've seen some encouraging developments in the Derby diocese, and we currently now have 4 full-time paid pioneers and a pioneer curate, and they're making, I would say, quite an impact not only in their local area where they're serving, but also I think the way they're commending pioneering and the life of Fresh Expressions to the rest of the diocese. We're also seeing about 40 at the moment, I would say, fresh expressions of church of different kinds, many of which are messy church, but also quite a number of cafe churches and things of that sort.
I've now been in Manchester Diocese for about 12 years. When I first came to the diocese to establish a fresh expression of church, there was a degree of suspicion towards fresh expressions. Now I think that suspicion is largely gone, and we're seeing fresh expressions being more and more integrated into the life of the diocese. We have a well-established feast group, a fresh expression area strategy team. We have a supportive bishop and senior staff. So slowly we're seeing the integration of fresh expressions into the life of the diocese.
Fresh Expressions have made an increasing and significant effect in our diocese. There's an increased understanding of what Fresh Expressions of church are, and there are more traditional parish churches are beginning to look at it, engage with it, learn with it and run with it.
In the Diocese of Liverpool, 10 years on, it's so exciting to look back and see how much we have furthered the mission, because people have seen what is possible, and we've been able to use monies to initiate things which are now developing in new and exciting ways, incorporating what we call the inherited church and pioneering work.
In Leicester Diocese, we have been on something of a journey over the last 10 years, as I guess have nearly all dioceses. A significant point for us was in 2010, when a vision and a strategy were laid before the diocese, and Diocesan Synod agreed unanimously to support a vision that would work towards, we felt the Spirit's clear calling, to work towards as many fresh expressions of church in 2030, mature, active fresh expressions, as we currently have inherited expressions of church, which for us is about just over 300. And that, not just for pragmatic reasons, but for vocational reasons, for mission reasons, in the first instance, nearly all of those fresh expressions would be led by teams of volunteers who aren't ordained, organically leading churches in their own context. And so what we're now looking to do is to develop a network of some 600 lay licensed. The bishop offers his license to these pioneers, and then support and trellises to support their ministry in all its different forms.
And factually and statistically, we can draw on the wonderful George Ling's research to say that he discovered 61 functioning fresh expressions in the life of the church, and the 61 were discerned from a total of 115 different creative missional projects that were investigated. So there's been a real culture of encouraging people to get on with some new forms of mission and trying to reach new people and doing something fresh.
The challenges we face are obviously where to put our resources, time, training and finances into ministry, whether it's ordained or lay. We've got increasing numbers of pioneers out there who are being trained and equipped, but where to put them, and also to get permission. We're also looking at making spaces for them, looking at jobs in parishes, starting up new forms of church.
As we are developing pioneer ministers, we are realising that everybody who is passionate about mission in our current generation needs to be pioneering. And so we're continually looking at every situation having a pioneering aspect in whatever way is authentic in that context, and encouraging parish profiles to incorporate a real missional pioneering aspect to what they want to do.
We have a lot of lay leadership in our diocese of our Fresh Expressions, and the thing we're giving attention to is how we can best serve and resource those lay people, and we're giving consideration as to an emerging strategy for giving them adequate support.
I think that one of the main challenges that we're facing is that Fresh Expressions are still seen as something that sits outside of the parish structure. And one of the main challenges and opportunities, I think, for us is to make sure that Fresh Expressions are fully integrated into the life of the local church community. We're doing that in Manchester. We're launching a community of communities. We'll be working across the diocese to develop Fresh Expressions within the parish context.
It would be particularly helpful if we could get churches at a deanery level to look at a shared strategy, to be able to do something which an individual church wouldn't have the resources to do, working across a town or across a group of villages in starting something new.
The one thing I could do, if I could do it, if I had the power and authority to do it, would be to increase the actual finance for Pioneer Ministry. We've got lots of goodwill towards Pioneer Ministry, but with goodwill, you need financial backup.
God has blessed us with wonderful licensed pioneers from many walks of life, with many different styles and approaches, and we give him great praise for that. That said, nearly all of our Fresh Expressions have a fragility, a clayiness, if you like, to their jars, which I think can be very helpful. It can be important. It emphasises a deep reliance on Jesus and his Spirit at work, but it is difficult. So many of our Fresh Expressions are one decision or one leader away from, it would appear, from stopping. And so one of the challenges for us over the next 10 years is how to support Fresh Expressions of church as they grow and as they mature, but in such a way that doesn't take away that reliance and that fragility in a helpful way. And so for us as a diocese, we're putting more and more resources into support, discernment first, support, coaching, training, development, accompaniment of, in time, hopefully hundreds of licensed lay pioneers.
To keep going with Fresh Expressions, we actually need to keep saying some of the same things over and over again. And for some of us who've actually been talking about this for 10 years, the temptation would be to move on, to find something new, to get diverted onto something. But we need to keep saying the same message because we haven't actually got over the tipping point. We could still, I think, fall back. So we've got to keep saying the same thing clearly, concisely, in a way that people understand, and will get them involved to actually take the steps it takes and give them the courage it takes to step out and do something new.